Hello YouTube land, it's Debbie from the Canadian Crocheter. It's been about a week, I think, since I've last posted. I figured I'd get on here and show you what I've been up to. It seems like I haven't been up to a lot because I've been busy. So I don't feel that I've accomplished as much as I'd like or as I normally do. But let's see what we've got. Oh, first of all, before I continue, I want to call out Laura Kelly. She's the winner of the paint box yarns from the giveaway that I had. Laura, you have not contacted me yet. If you're watching this, please send me an email to crochet2018@rogers.com and let me know where you'd like me to ship you the prize. I believe today is the 17th. If you don't get in touch with me within a week, in 1 week's time, I will come back on and do a draw from the same pool of comments, or a redraw for that. Okay, what have I been up to? The cardigan. I have not finished the cardigan yet. And that is because I ran out of yarn. This is a lesson learned. Read the pattern well. I was reading the pattern and I saw 520 yards and I'm like, oh, I've got 3 of those cakes. Each one's like over 300 yards. I got lots. No, that's 520 grams was what it said. I'm like, oh. So I got the 2 hexagons done and I had no yarn to seam them together. So I went on Amazon a couple of days ago and got another skein. So hopefully today or tomorrow I should finish the sweater. And while I was on there, I ended up getting, because you guys remember that Pam, viewer Pam, sent me 3 cakes of the color Spring Meadow of the same yarn. So I ordered 1 more so that if I'm gonna make another sweater, I make sure I have enough. And wouldn't you know it, that this was $1 cheaper than the first time I ordered it. I'm like, what? Happy, but I would have liked to get all of it $1 cheaper. Anyway, so I just picked that up. What else? Okay, I'll show you also what else was in the mail. Since that was the only thing, or the yarn and this. So this is from a viewer, Wendy. Wendy has sent me a few things, and she sent me this, and this is a photocopy of an old book, and actually even the photocopy is old. She was going through her mom's pattern binder, and she got me, she thought since I started knitting that she would get me this. It's Jack Frost 2 needle mittens. Okay, 2 needle mittens. Isn't all knitting 2 needles? I don't know. Something I have to look up. But anyway, she even pointed out her mom's go-to mitten pattern, which is this. I'm gonna give that a try. Don't know when, but real soon. Thank you, Wendy. That was so thoughtful of you. And I mean, you know, I don't know. I love the old patterns. And you know what? Yes, there's some newer patterns, but I think a lot of patterns are just regurgitated from older patterns, or reinvented, new colors, new sizes. Anyway, what else have I been up to? Okay, let's start with that blanket, the Bernat Pop blanket. Okay, it is a forced finish. It is forced because I ran out of the cakes. I have other cakes, but they're all different sizes or different thicknesses. So it didn't turn into a lapgan. So I have a box set aside, a big box set aside that I'm gonna be making things for our local SPCA for the pets. And that's where this is gonna go. I'm not sure how big this is, but it's a square, not big enough for a human. So, but it is perfectly fine for an animal. Now, the way, I think you all remember me talking about one edge will have the scallops. a viewer, and for the life of me, I can't remember who the viewer is, and I do apologize. I went back to look for the comment and I can't find it. But if it was you, I thank you tremendously. She suggested that when you get to the certain size that you want, you just turn around and keep going, doing the same pattern around the edge. And look at that. Oh, sorry, that's the, I don't think it makes a difference. Maybe it does. So yes, so I just did the exact same stitch all the way around, and now the whole, all four sides have the scalloped edge. I love it. Awesome, awesome idea. There were other ideas as well, which I'm going to implement those ideas as well in future projects. But this one, I loved how it turned out. So if you were the one who commented and gave me that idea, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was awesome. Don't know why I didn't think of it, but yeah. So that's done, and that's gonna go in a box for the SPCA. What else have I been up to? I cracked into Billy's, I don't know if you guys remember a little while ago, Billy, the Crafty Floridian, sent me some tulle. And so I've been making scrubbies. Now, these are all gonna go to my daughter. She did say, and some other comments that did say that it smells. After a few uses or whatever, it smells. And I guess that's because it holds the moisture. So I guess the idea is you have to dry it very well. So my daughter, if she's using it to remove dark makeup, she'll throw it in the washer and then in the dryer. If it's just a fresh face, no makeup, she'll just throw it in the dryer right after. So, and so then hang it up and, yeah, so it's dry. That's the key, is you have to keep them dry. So I made 3 of the big ones. If you hear my dog, I'm sorry. There's a squirrel. He's in the Muskoka room, or the screened-in porch, and there's a squirrel out there, and he's just going nuts. Anyway, so I made 3. I was able to make 3 bigger ones, but then I realized, and I started these ones, I made smaller ones. So you see, oh my goodness, you see the difference in size? And I think the smaller ones are better. I really do. I think they're a better size. So I think from now on, if I'm gonna be making them, and you know what I thought? They make good Christmas ornaments on your tree, fillers. Anyway, so I made 2 more of these. And then obviously when you're using it, you have some leftovers, little itty bitty pieces. So I made multicolored ones, just whatever I had, put it together. And then even the itty bitty pieces were used for this one. So I've been up to that. And then I cracked into the tulle that Zelda sent me. And I made a backwasher. But it's not really a backwasher because this works wonderfully on dry skin. Like not wet, I mean. So I was at the Cottage this past weekend, which I'll talk about in a second. And I got eaten alive. The mosquitoes were just on a rampage. And so I made this, and I wanted to test out the size. This is actually for my husband. And I tried it on my bare skin, and I'm like, oh, this feels so good. This stuff's great for that. So I'm not sure, I might actually have to make him another one. Actually, I think I made this one too big. So all it is half double crochet, rectangle, then I went around and created a border with the blue, and this is just the chain. But I think I made it too wide. I think that it would have been better if it was like that. So, but it feels good for the back scratcher. So good. So I might keep this one and make him another one. Yeah, maybe the blue with the yellow trim. So I made that. And speaking of the Cottage and mosquitoes, I was up at the Cottage this past weekend. I went up on the Saturday. So my husband and his father and his uncle are up there all week. And our two boys were there on the weekend. So I went up on Saturday and then came back Sunday, and I was there just to pick up our younger one because he had school on Monday. Way too much testosterone for me. But anyway, I was there, and my father-in-law was there, and So we started talking about the blanket that he wanted. So I've already made one chevron because that's what he wanted. He wanted each chevron to be a different color, and it's killing me. It is boring. So I mentioned that to him, and he's like, well, I really like the scrap gan that you have there. And it's the Bernat, I think I've showed a couple of them in the past, the Bernat scrap gan. And so now that's what he wants. So that's a good news and bad news. The bad news is I've already done one panel. But the good news is now that one's not in a rush. I can take all year to finish it. And maybe by next Father's Day, that one will be done. But in the meantime, I can whip off one of those Bernat blanket scrap gans in a matter, you know, like a really short time. So in a couple of weeks, I should be able to have one if I find the time to even start it. So that's good. So that. And now because I was only up there for one night, I did not take a lot of stuff. I took one skein of yarn and my notions pouch which had on my crochet hooks and some knitting needles. I don't have a lot of knitting needles, and thought but I didn't bring a pattern of anything. So I kind of put this one together just from memory. So obviously I should not rely on my memory too much. So this is just, I think, 1x1 rib, and then the stockinette, and my decreases themselves look good, but I don't know why it puckers up here. Maybe I need to decrease more. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is, what yarn is this? Oh, this is Impeccable, and the colorway is Folklore. Yeah, it turned out, it's nice. Turned out okay. And I don't know if it's a thing with me now, but I have a tendency to want to see how much I can get out of one skein. So I made this one, and this one actually fits me quite nicely. Where's the, hold on, I'll show it to you. Fits me quite nicely. I like it. And then, but I always want to try to crochet one too. So this one, I was afraid I wasn't gonna have enough yarn to make 2 hats out of it, but I shouldn't have worried because I got all this left still. I should have made a bigger one, but I made a smaller one, and I made this, and this one is strictly single crochet, top down hat, but for an itty bitty person. But look at the pooling that went on. I love it. And then the pom-pom, I don't know, I wanted to play around. The pom-pom is actually 3 small pom-poms set like that, so in a row, and just playing around. I love it, I love it, I love it. I actually like this one better than this one. This one's kind of, I mean, it's cute, don't get me wrong, but it's stripes. This one's pooling. Look at it, I love it. So I got two hats, 3 small pom-poms, and still got this much left, which will be going into a scrap project out of one skein. So I'm not sure if it's a thing with me now, but I seem to be doing a lot of that, so you can see the difference in knit or crochet. So I got that done on Saturday night. Then I got back on Sunday and I decided to do something, and I'm so proud of this. Now, it's not perfect. It's not even anywhere near half perfect, but I'm proud of it. I knitted a sock. And actually, I've started the second one. So I am determined not to have that one sock syndrome. Now, yes, I've tried knitting socks before, and I've learned a few things. Someone gave me some good advice and said that if you're gonna start something new, try using the yarn that you love to work with. And my favorite is number 4 worsted. So that's what I did. And I followed Hooked on Tilly. And by the way, she has an amazing channel. She's got a ton of patterns for sale on Etsy. Really fabulous. So she does the tutorial for this online, so you don't really need to buy the pattern. I bought the pattern because this woman taught me how to make a sock. That deserves my $4 or $5 for the pattern. But I haven't even looked at the pattern yet, to be honest with you. I just did it to support her. But I will open up the pattern today. Anyway, yes, I knitted this. And I did the Kitchener stitch. Yes, the Kitchener stitch needs some work. I did the heel and flap. Still not sure what a gusset is, but there's a channel that I've been trying to watch to learn more about the construction of socks. Yeah, so it fits. It actually fits. It's a little big though. Again, I made the mistake. I used 4.5 millimeter needles, but she used 4, and she used the jeans yarn. So it's a worsted, 4 worsted as well, but I think it's slightly thinner than I used Bernat Premium Tweeds. But anyway, I love this. I love this, and I will be wearing it because I made it. Granted, there are things that I need to work on. For example, where the heel and the sock meet. Okay, this side doesn't have a hole, but this side has a hole. That I have to work on. I have to figure out what is to be done about that. My Kitchener stitch is not very, you know, I mean, it worked. It's just not very pretty, which is fine. That will come in time. And then, so I'm starting with worsted weight socks, and they're not, I don't know how sturdy these are because they're acrylic, but that's okay. I made a sock. I will work up to using smaller needles and smaller yarn and the nicer yarn, you know. But for now, I'm very, very happy with these. And yeah, so see my knitting? It's not bad. It's pretty even. The stockinette part is pretty even. I mean, yes, the corners need work, but. And I learned what SPCA was. So all that, this tutorial was fantastic. All that I learned, so I had to buy the pattern. For me, that $5, I think it was $5 that I spent is so well worth it. I learned how to make a sock, and I'm doing another one. And maybe by next week I'll have another pair, but I'm still gonna do the worsted weight because that's where I'm comfortable with right now. I will push myself, and I'll get there. But for now, and if I remember, I'll put a picture of me wearing this sock. It's and then hopefully by the next episode that will be done, and maybe another pair will be started. I don't know. I have done other things. I'm testing 2 patterns. One I've already done, and it's amigurumi, so not in my comfort zone. But I love this person, so I said absolutely I will test it, and I loved how it turned out. But again, I will show that when she releases the pattern. And I'm working on the second test. And I also made a gift for someone, and I took a little video clip of it, but the person doesn't have it yet. So when she gets it, I will attach that little clip possibly to the next episode, and you'll see what I came up with. So I have been busy, or I've been productive, but I just can't show you everything yet. So anyway, socks down and mitts next. Yeah, I'm thrilled with this. And like I said, give it a try if you, oh, the other thing that I learned is I like wood better. They're not as sharp. I guess, I'm not sure. I've watched knitters ad nauseum. And I do have a set of chaigus, but honestly, I'm still at the stage where I'm pushing down with my finger. I'm trying to get better at that, but I find that the wood or less sharp needles work much better for me. I can knit longer without feeling the pain in my finger. So right now I'm just getting used to knowing how knitting needles feel in your hand, and also being able to distinguish the stitches. And if I could, I don't want to give advice, but if I could give advice, okay, so if you take a look right there, so when you're knitting, I think this was what threw me off in the beginning too. This looked so loose, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's never gonna look good. But believe me, it does. It absolutely does. It turns into that. It bounces back. So when you're knitting, you get that and you get all stressed and you're tightening. Don't tighten. And if you're gonna tighten, tighten after you make the stitch. And don't tighten before. Tighten, make the stitch, then tighten. Make the stitch, then tighten. Because if you tighten before, you're gonna come around again and you're not gonna be able to get your needle in. So those are the little things that I've learned. And I've learned not to stress. And I'm thinking that's because of Margaret Olander. She's the one who made the magic loop understandable to me. And she said, like, don't stress about that. Don't. And I think that's what throws people off, is you see this, because you don't see something like that in crochet. You're just crocheting along and you see what the stitch is and you adjust the tension as you go along. But you see this, I don't know if I can show you. Look at this gap. And it throws you off and you're like, oh, this looks awful. Especially in the first 2 rows, you're like, oh, this is never gonna look good. But it does. Look, it just bounces back. So if I could give anybody advice, is just be patient and be persistent and just don't worry about it. It will fall into place. Just keep going, and then when you finish the sock or whatever you're knitting, you can look and you go, okay, this part needs work. Let's work on that part. But yeah, I think nobody starts knowing, and I don't care, you know, how long you've knitted, how long you can be knitting for 50 years. You didn't start with perfect, your first piece was never perfect. If you make socks, your first pair of socks was not perfect. And if it was, hats off to you. But most people, no, you had work. The thing is, you just plug away, keep going, and if it's wonky, so what? That will point out the areas that you need to work on. I will stop babbling now. Stop. Anyway, I hope everyone is having a wonderful week, and I will be back in a week or so to show you what else I've been up to. In the meantime, I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and we'll talk soon.